Hello everybody and welcome back to the Lavender Lenses, the podcast all about queer culture, its past, its present and its future. Today we're talking all about queer people that are also people of colour. Double-barreled shotgun we have here. Oh god, that's weird. Anyway, introduce yourselves. There you
go. So my name is Leah. I'm 16. I am mixed race, so my mum is Lebanese and my dad is British. But I was born and raised in Dubai, and I moved here to England 2 years ago.
Hi, I'm Jojo, if you didn't already know that. My background is a bit weird. I'm half Indian and I'm half Portuguese, but both my mother's side and my father's side were raised my dad was raised partly in Portugal, and he spent his later years in South Africa. And my mother was raised in South Africa and Australia. So, pretty strange cultural mixing there. But we've got a lot to talk about that. Eric, introduce yourself. Did I introduce yourself? Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm terrible at this, guys. Go, sorry.
Okay. I'm Eric, I'm 16. I'm fully Chinese and not mixed race like these guys. But, that's not laughing.
Limited edition.
Are we half-bloods? Muggles.
Mad
lads.
Anyways, I'm Chinese, but I grew up in England for basically my entire life, So
today we're talking about queer people that are also people of colour. I've got quite a lot of things that I want to talk about in terms of things like cultural backgrounds and how queer people of colour fit into wider society and LGBTQ groups. I think it's a really interesting topic that can often be kind of washed over. Obviously, queer people are talked about a lot these days, but I think there's definitely a sense, especially in the Western world, of kind of whitewashing queer culture, and there being some sort of sense of white supremacy in queer culture, even with a lot of queer people being people of colour. And I think it's really easy to wash over the fact that people of colour, even if people don't share your same traditions, even if people don't share your same beliefs, there are queer people of colour. Guys, I know it's shocking. Even in the places you'd least expect it, there are queer people of colour.
Like Paolo's apartment.
Okay. So, the first talking point I want to talk about is the divide in beliefs about our different cultural backgrounds. So I just want to go around a table, because now we're at a table, guys. Isn't it exciting? We were at a sofa last time. I don't know if you guys remember. You probably do. But I found that the sofa made me too relaxed, and I ended up, when we were watching back the footage, I looked like Jabba the Hutt sitting on the sofa.
It was less about the aesthetics and more that it made her a bit too comfortable just like being an absolute fucking idiot, so we had to edit out the like 10 times that you redid the intro because he started cackling.
I'd like to point out, this is our first take, guys. So if this gets posted, I would like to give ourselves a big pat on the back, because it took us what, like 7 takes last time?
17.
it took a whole month just to get the first episode.
Oh my god, guys, I haven't mentioned, this incredible king right here is our very one and only editor Eric too. Guys, I don't know if you noticed, but Eric very kindly and graciously edited the last episode for us, which I did point down in the description, because there were some notes that he added to the episode, which, if I was talking about myself, made me look a little bit like, what am I saying? But Eric is the incredible editor that edits our videos. He is paid, he's fed very well. He's given sunlight twice a day.
Well,
he's paid in love.
He is paid very well. There's biscuits right there.
yeah.
You can have every single one of the biscuits if you want.
He's paid in biscuits, guys.
And sunlight.
And sunlight. He gets fed very well, guys. Don't worry about him.
He gets to photosynthesize.
Let's just get straight into it, guys. Okay, my first question. I was saying, let's talk about different beliefs about queer people around the table. Based on kind of where you grew up or what your family background is. Leo, would you like to start us off? Leo, Leo, would you like to start us off?
It's actually meant to be pronounced Leo.
I prefer Leo.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay, period. Stop.
Yeah. What am I talking about?
What is queer people in Dubai like?
Oh, okay.
Dubai.
Are we talking about beliefs about queer culture where we grew up? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
Guys, they don't like gay people. Shocker. Obviously, it's illegal. Being gay is illegal. You can get deported for it, and you can get banned from the country. But it's also just because the law encourages that homophobia. Homophobia is so ingrained in society, and because a lot of Dubai is very Muslim and homosexuality is very frowned upon, it's just kind of something that if you're not accessing information about it online, around you in society, you didn't talk about gay people. Like, I learnt what I knew about gay people when I was, let's say, 12 from Google and YouTube and TV shows, because I couldn't have learned anything from the society around me because we weren't allowed to talk about it. Yeah.
I got some facts to add about gay people in Dubai because, guys, this time we did our research. Last time I went in a little bit blind, and I kind of just...
Someone decided to...
Oh yeah, we got pointed out. I just kind of waffled on, but I tried to do a lot of research today because, guys, who loves facts? So, let's talk about legal policy in Dubai. Same-sex relations are illegal across Dubai. It can lead up to 10 years in prisons. Although between 2004 and 2021, only 21 people have been recorded for arrested. So it's less that if they see gay, you get arrested, and more that in some cases.
It's less so that they'll put you in jail because they don't need to be filling jail space with gay people there when it's so easy to deport them and ban them from the country. Realistically, if it's not so obvious to the point where they can claim that they didn't know or they can ignore it, they won't arrest a gay person. But if it's a case where it's very obvious and legally the police kind of have to do something, they will just deport you.
So, of course, queer culture exists in kind of every cavern of every world. Like, even in the most homophobic countries, you're gonna find a bar which is not known to be a queer bar by wider society, but like, you know, that's the hookup space. That's the place where they go.
Yeah,
so LGBTQ life in Dubai exists, but it's kind of entirely underground. The kind of meetups for queer people in the UAE is very discreet, and it's usually, there's not really any advertising for it, it's kind of word of mouth. There has been some cases of arrests from private gatherings and entrapment via LGBTQ dating apps and chat rooms.
It's also very dangerous as a queer couple to go on holiday to Dubai. They try to ignore queer tourists, but if they're a bit obvious about it and if they're not really respecting the rules about modesty in public and not showing affection, then queer couples can get deported and banned from the country.
So, honestly, there's quite a lot of things that are going on in Dubai about queer people. There's a lot of things that kind of, the laws are against them. Like, it's kind of obvious that that's what's happening here. But that's just one kind of culture in the world. Why don't we figure out another culture? I will tap onto mine, but because I'm mixed, it's a bit different. It's more like family tradition. So would you like to talk a little bit about queer culture in China and how it affects people?
I mean, if I have to be completely honest, I'm not super familiar with what queer culture is like in China because I can't say I spend loads of time in China. When I do, it's not really around queer people, unfortunately. But based on my observation, it's not strict as Dubai. Like there are being homosexual, whatever it is, criminalized in China. But people just tend to be less receptive to talk about it, and obviously as in most cases, the older generation just frown upon it, but the younger generation, they're okay with it. The main thing is it's still kind of stigmatized, but like, for example, fetishization is there's a pretty popular genre of novels in China for like anime novels, and they're mostly about queer men, like gay men and stuff, but they're targeted towards women mostly. And if you walk about anywhere in China, you can find shops that like sell merchandise of these things. And I always thought that was kind of strange because you look around, it's not like it doesn't. China's not huge and happy and gay, and everyone's so queer and prideful. But at the same time, you can just find these shops that sell this sort of queer seeming merchandise. It's a bit like what I've heard from Japanese people, how the same people who can really enjoy, I don't know, consuming this kind of media also find it homophobic, because there's a difference between, you know, being accepting of queer people and sort of fetishizing them because you think it's attractive or something. That's not everything that goes on in the queer world in China, but that's just what I've seen so far.
And you know, we talk about in conversations we've had about China, when you teach me about China, we talk about the differences between like the north and south of China. Would you say there's quite a big divide in beliefs between the north and south with queer people?
I haven't really thought about this in the context of queer people. I'm mostly aware that the south seems to be where sort of the wealth of the country is concentrated in, and the north tends to get some flack for being like more rural-ish. I know for something that people who live in urban areas, they're definitely more accepting of queer people because they tend to have more interaction with queer people, and you know, they just become more receptive of it, especially in the generation. But a lot of the older generation and the people, if they live in rural areas, they just, because Chinese folk religion stresses huge importance on sort of familial relationships and like filial piety and such stuff. So obviously it's basically expected within tradition to grow old, get married, like start a nuclear family and pass down the family and everything. Like, for example, it's more to do with like, I feel like people in China, they might not be violently homophobic, but they wouldn't want their own kids to be queer. Not speaking from experience. So, yeah, it's more just like taboo. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah, I would say it's the same with Arab culture. I would say it's not, especially in less religious groups of Arab culture. I know that on my mum's side of the family, being Lebanese and also having a lot of Egyptian relatives, it's more an attitude of as long as it's not my children. I think that's an attitude that a lot of my relatives have. I think a lot of my relatives kind of accept that my immediate family is queer because it's not their children. But I know for a fact that, especially with cousins, if they were to come out as queer, because they're in families that are living in Arab countries and are a lot less accepting of LGBTQ groups, it would be a lot more dangerous and a lot less accepting for them to come out as the same labels that I've come out with.
So when I was researching kind of about China, I wasn't finding too much statistical information. There wasn't as much studies within China as there were within UAE, which was kind of surprising, or at least I couldn't really.
Yeah, if you guys are familiar with China, there's not exactly like a hub of information from the outsiders.
But one of the main kind of points that, at least what I was finding people talking about, was, as Eric was talking about, the differences in kind of more urban and rural culture. and differences in younger generations in more cities, like the kind of gay capital of China is kind of believed to be Chengdu, which is kind of, it's obviously a city and it's got a lot more younger people, so there's this kind of belief that, you know, older people of course have quite different views to a lot of the newer generation in China. One statistic that I did find was that in China, 75% of queer individuals surveyed decided to stay closeted at workplaces, while 21% had suggested that they experienced negative treatment, particularly trans people and intersex people. So it's quite an interesting statistic to have, you know, 75% of people. It's even like, you know what Eric was saying about, oh well, if it's not my child then it's fine. It's kind of this belief that 75% of people are deciding, well, I'm not sure about, you know, what the wider public is going to think about this. And it's very different when we think about like countries like the UK where we are now, because you know, that figure is a lot lower in the UK. It's kind of like, okay, well, some people are going to believe that it's okay, and you know, there's going to be a few people that don't like it. But in countries like China, from what we can find, it's kind of believed, well, I'm not really sure who is going to be fine with this and who's going to have much different kind of views on it.
And in general, I just think even though the government doesn't criminalize it, they do tend to censor these things, and you see that a lot when it comes to like media that comes from China. There's, with the amount of censorship, but you can see some implied queer representation, like queer coding and stuff in that kind of media, but there's never any sort of explicit queer characters in China.
Yeah, I think censorship is a really powerful way to hide behind this idea that your country is very modern, and is kind of progressing into the future. Like, as in, you know, like Dubai kind of advertises itself to be a very modern kind of mega city, which is kind of really...
Yeah, in the technological sense and in the sense of the infrastructure, that is completely true. It is very advanced, it is very modern. But in the cultural sense and cultural attitudes towards queer people, it is far, far behind.
And of course, like, censorship is one of the most powerful things that you can have in almost like every kind of strong political leadership. You always see censorship being used as a weapon to control people. For instance, in Dubai, from what I was finding when I was researching, movies like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was the animated Spider-Man movie, was banned because of connotations, I'm forgetting words, connotations of a trans character being in the movie, which, you know, it's not like Dubai's government is going out and saying, we would never accept things which would have these things in it, but it's like, oh, silently we'll do it so that people don't see that we're doing this, and we'll just kind of hide it under the covers.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry guys, the camera cut off because the camera can only record like 25 minutes at a time for some reason. Leo was talking about censorship in the Barbie movie in Dubai. Would you like to continue?
Yes. I do not remember where I left off. Because I've had a lot of coffee today. I was actually promised an iced matcha latte when I got here, but...
We were in such a rush. Because I couldn't...
Were we?
No.
Or were we just searching the floor?
Didn't we say we were gonna start 12 and then...
Start at 12 and
It's 2.
No, we started at 1:30. No, not
Are
even
you going to
1:30.
talk about Barbie?
Yeah, so the Barbie movie in Dubai. Yeah, they didn't want it to air. It was a very big drama. Because at that point, it was just when I had moved here. But I was still in contact with a lot of people that I knew from school and from like clubs, and it was a big drama there that the Barbie movie was not being allowed to air, and there was a lot of discussions about not just because of queer representation in it, but also just the fact that it is obviously a feminist movie, that it's a movie to empower women. The cultural norms in Dubai are very sexist and very misogynistic. And although it would never be outrightly said that it's because it was so much representation for women, that is essentially why there was so much discourse about it airing in cinemas at first, because it was a controversial movie and it criticised society's attitudes towards women, and the kind of aim that the government has in the UAE is to censor anything that could create conflict.
You know what I mean? I do. So yeah, as I say, as I've said so many times, censorship is so powerful. Guys, what you may not see is that censorship is always the weapon that every power can use without you guys even knowing.
Okay, history GCSE.
Okay, history GCSE. Okay, Goering. Who?
Okay, politics A-level.
Oh!
Our favorite lesbians, Alexander Nakarada.
Anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my background and what my background is. So, my background is a little bit strange because I wasn't born in India or South Africa.
She's not blood.
I was born right here in the United Kingdom of Britain, in Northern Ireland. Same! Twinning. So my culture is much more like just kind of different traditions that were kind of passed down from my parents. Sorry, a little sidetrack that I went on. Anyway, I was talking about my background and the beliefs that kind of shaped it. So even though, so even though my parents, one's from Portugal, one's from South Africa with Indian heritage, they didn't really bring kind of their traditional culture over to England because they didn't really come with any family, and we don't really know any close family here. So when they came here, it was more about like reinventing themselves within British culture, kind of like assimilating. So it was less like homophobic things from like India and homophobic things from Portugal, and it was more just like passing on family values that they had ingrained in their head. So it's a bit different, it's a bit weird to talk about because I never really thought about it that much, but basically it's just that what the fuck am I saying? What I'm trying to say is I didn't really experience much of the person of colour queer bias from my parents because they didn't really pass much of it on. There is like family traditions which I'd say are ingrained, and sometimes like when we were younger and we used to see family, there could be like other family members that were quite clearly against the gay. So it was less like my parents telling me that, you know, your children can't be queer because of their culture. But that wasn't really a part that I experienced as much as these two did. It was more the next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is society and how society views queer people of colour. So, our next talking point. Oh, I've got an interesting talking point. We're still on talking point 1. Okay, Eric, I've got one for you. So, Eric was not born in China. Eric visits China quite often, and obviously he is fully Chinese. So, a question that I have for you, Eric, is, you know, like traditions in China, and you know, would you say that the homophobic beliefs about queer people in China is steeped in just purely tradition, or is it more that it's just come naturally over the years?
Yeah.
Don't forget to smile.
It's definitely steeped in tradition because traditionally, it's not like there's anything. It's not as in say Islam where there's specifically something against homosexuals. I think it's more to do with the fact that homosexuality goes against the core sort of Confucianist patriarchal beliefs that Chinese folk religion is based on, and like unlike say England or something, you could make an argument that everyone in China is religious to an extent because we all partake in what we call like Chinese folk religion. That's the kind of like red envelopes and the celebrating Chinese New Year and stuff. It's not like an organized religion, like say Christianity or something, but the traditions are there and it's deeply part of our culture. And I hate, okay, well I can't say I hate, but I don't really like Confucianism.
You hate Chinese people?
No! And then,
Racist!
Bro.
Brother!
This is not the right episode to be racist like that. Sorry, I started giggling because Jojo had...
Stop it!
Eric
Anyways. Anyways, it's just because Confucianism is so patriarchal, and obviously for like homosexuality would be frowned upon in patriarchy. Under patriarchy, because you're expected to carry on your family. I mean, everything in China is, when it comes to traditional things, it's always respect your parents, get married, have children, pass down the family. So I think there tends to be a bit more focus on your lineage in China, because because in our culture it's just more important as something to read. I mean, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of the same everywhere, but in China they have these records of basically everyone that's part of your family, except it's only the men, like the women aren't written into it. So as I say, it's very patrilineal, which is a shame because the Neolithic cultures of China are actually matrilineal.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like about the follow-up I have for you is, would you say that how hard would you say it is to separate the kind of more homophobic parts of culture in China with culture that, you know, should be enjoyed by like a family? Would you say it's difficult to do that?
I mean, obviously, I love my culture, and I also participate in traditions associated with Chinese folk religion, as in like celebrating Chinese New Year, red envelopes, color red and stuff. It's more when those it's not exactly traditions, like we don't celebrate being straight in China or something, but it's more just, it tends to be, I don't know what I'm saying.
Maybe you ask me.
The culture is just like that, and it's perpetuated by the elders of the family.
Leo, would you like to talk a little bit also about how you can believe in some parts of a culture but separate yourselves from some traditions? Or would you say that you completely separate yourself from traditions?
If we're talking in the sense of Arab traditions, I don't know much about British tradition other than what I've picked up from my father. But if we're talking about in the sense of Arab traditions, I think there are a lot of norms and values that I think are really, really sweet, and I really want to carry with me as I go on throughout my life. Like, there's a big attitude towards taking care of family first and hospitality, and just overall being warm and friendly to as many people as you can. There's a big sense of community with Arab people, but then contrastingly there's completely different sides of Arab culture that I would never ever really want to be a part of. Like, there's a big sense of your only responsibility is to your parents, and you have a responsibility to essentially, in the sense that your parents are responsible for you in your early life. As they get into their old age, you are completely responsible for them, and kind of, I guess, in a way they become your child at some point. And there's a big sense of prioritizing what your parents wish for you and what your relatives wish for you before what you wish for yourself. So, especially with queer people, a lot of Arab queer people will repress that part of themselves, or hide that part of themselves for the majority of their life because they've grown up with the value that everything they do has to satisfy their parents before they do it.
Yeah,
So I think, go on.
Yeah, it's kind of like that in Chinese culture too, with like filial piety and stuff. Like I still remember that one time. I love you, Mom, but that one time.
We love you. We love you.
That one time
We love you.
she made me read These Away, which is it's basically just a bunch of rules for living and it's for children, and basically the entire thing is about to have massive focus on your parents, your family, your elders. You need absolute respect, like to the level like God rather than prostrate yourself for them. It's I don't think she ever expected me to do any of that. I'm not really sure why she made me read it. Maybe she just thought I would learn to be more respectful. But I am very respectful towards my parents. I'm not like a rowdy child or anything. But yeah, and so obviously when you have that idea, it's so much more disconcerting when you hear your grandparents say like they don't like gay people, they don't like queer people, whatever, because then it feels like we're failing them, like there's an expectation, and it's just been a bit weird because I love my family very much, but it's like I'm sure you guys can relate when it is a part of your identity. It is just who you are, and the fact that you have to hide it solely because it just feels like it's not right, as in it would be unfair to them. It's just a bit upsetting.
Yeah. Personally, with kind of like my background, as I've said, it's less about like cultural norms and traditions, but definitely because my parents are spending a lot of their life in South Africa. It's not, gay people do exist in South Africa, and as far as South Africa goes, it's definitely one of the most progressive countries in Africa. Homosexuality is very legal, and gay marriage is legal, but especially in like the 90s and early kind of thousands, like 80s when they were living there, it was very abnormal to see it. Especially, there was a huge kind of Christian uprising after, all of the colonization of South Africa and the separating of South Africa and segregation and Mandela, all of that kind of things. And there was a lot of erasure of culture from having predominantly white communities that are predominantly bringing like Christian values over to a country which...
I think when it comes to the difference between queer people of colour and queer people who are white, I think the main difference in the attitudes that they get from the family and the society that they're around is usually based in religion. Probably less so in China, because you're talking about that, what your mum had you read. And I'm not sure if that's based on just a cultural standpoint or if it's linked somewhere in religion. But I know with Arab families' attitudes towards homosexuality, and especially with young queer people who are Arab, the shame that comes with being queer comes usually from a religious standpoint. In the Quran, the most important thing for a child is to respect their parents, prioritize their parents. That essentially your parents go before everything. So when it comes to being queer, knowing that that's something that would disappoint them, they will always think first to repress that side of themselves because they grew up with the value that their parents come before everything.
So I'd say like more in my kind of family, it was more about the fact that they didn't really grow up with queer being a normal thing, which many parents didn't. So it's more like it's just this normal thing where a lot of parents didn't grow up with it being more visible. In the UK, it's different. Like queer culture was more visible than it was, say, in like South Africa at the time. because there was lots of things going on and it just wasn't very visible. So like, I wouldn't say necessarily that my parents were homophobic, but I definitely say a lot of it is steeped in not growing up around this kind of culture and having to kind of re-educate yourself about people, which, I mean, it's a hard thing to do and it's kind of hard to change the attitude of. I mean, it is something that, I don't think it's something that should be excused. Like, I think, you know, it's something that, you know, you should do. I mean, obviously, you know, take it with a bit of a grain of salt, but like, I think that's more of where the kind of tradition against queer people comes, especially like being a mixed race child. It's more like not growing up with it and not really knowing how to fit it in with like what you already know with your culture as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to, it's difficult to think about, isn't it? Because you don't really know like where their beliefs come from.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On the topic of re-education, I think that as queer people of colour, I think that's something that we can all agree on, that is primarily the biggest difference that you'd see with a young queer person of colour compared to a young queer white person. The responsibility to re-educate your family is a lot bigger.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm very lucky because my mum is, I mean, because she's been in England for a very long time, so she's become much more receptive of new things in general. She's not homophobic, she's not transphobic, she's very kind and accepting person, and I love her for that. But I mean, I can't say the same for the rest of my family, but that influence does come from the fact that she's been here for so long, that she's interacted with so many more people. Back in China, the main big thing is that there just aren't you just don't interact with as many queer people on a daily basis.
It's just exposure.
And that lack of exposure for the younger generation is mainly what makes them homophobic, but I guess the better word would be uneducated, because it's rare to go in China and find people who are like actually violently homophobic. That would mostly be the older generation.
Okay, that is the end of part 2.
Oh.
Guys, so this is part 3. We're going to talk about queer people in wider society, but we'd like to show our emblem, our new logo. So, Eric, would you like to talk about it?
Oh, I mean, what is that to say really? It's
Eric slaved away and Eric painted this beautiful lantern in China first, and it's got all the flags of like
rainbow.
It's got the rainbow. It's got the gay flag. It's got a trans flag. It's got a lesbian flag on there.
It's a little bit gay.
It's a little bit gay. And guys, it lights up.
You're right.
Guys, it lights up.
I even tried to make
Like-
the sex one.
Like a lit up
Oh, that's what I thought it was. So thank you so much, guys. That's our representation of queer culture.
Why is it so dim?
I think I had it on for like ages.
We may not be gay, but our decoration is.
Our decoration is, and us. Anyway, we're going to talk about queer people in wider society. This is the part where we stop talking about our background. We're going to talk about like general queer people in a wider society, which is dominated by queer people that aren't people of colour. So, let's talk about being queer people in a more accepting country. Okay, being a queer person of colour being queer and a person of colour in a more accepting country, would you say that one kind of trumps the other in terms of how much you get hatred for it?
Trump card.
Do you have anything to say? So,
I would say, depending on how obviously queer you are, I'd say it's depending on where you are in this country, I would say it's slightly more dangerous to be a queer person than to be a person of colour. But it's all based on the area that you're in and the attitudes of the people around you. Because, let's say for example, obviously you'll talk about it more, but I know from your experience, you've experienced more discrimination for the fact that you're Chinese than the fact that you're queer. But from my perspective, because I'm not obviously mixed race, I've definitely experienced more discrimination for the fact that I'm queer than the fact that I'm half Arab.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main thing is, I kind of get away with it. I mean, my ears are pierced now, but previously I'm not I don't really present super queer, which isn't like a good or a bad thing. It's just the way I am.
Yeah, me neither.
Was that like sarcasm? Okay. Well, yeah. So in my personal experience, I have had, I can't even count like the amount of sort of racist, the kind of racism that me and like my family experience sometimes. I just kind of ignore it. I mean, I've never had any really, really dangerous encounter, but it is sort of dangerous because obviously I'm very, very Chinese looking, and because I am Chinese.
Banana.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, no matter how white I am on the inside, I am still yellow on the outside. So, that's just not saying that.
Okay, continue.
Anyways, so
that's a saying, but pot calling the kettle black isn't.
they're both sayings. Well,
It's
anyways,
just homophobic.
yeah. So personally, I've experienced much, much more sort of, I guess, discrimination or like lower level hate crimes because of what I look like, because of my race, because I look so different from people around here. But I'm like sometimes when I'm around my friends who might present themselves as more queer, I have also seen the sort of reactions that some people might have towards us. Like one time I was with, are we allowed to mention the names of other people? Do you think we can? Well,
I think they'll be glad that they're getting famous.
so yeah, maybe let's just use the code name.
Okay.
I was with Acuntio and
Acuntio is a code name for a friend.
I
But
feel
how
like,
there?
That's enough. We need guys.
anyways, and I think we were like holding a fire flag from McDonald's or something. I don't know why. I think we just
Oh, I
went,
remember this, yeah.
Get this, and apparently someone called us an episode, but like I wasn't aware of this. I think I just got told it. So obviously, you know, we will still face discrimination if we're out to be queer.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but just speaking from my experience as a sort of like I guess straight passing queer person,
Yeah.
but as a straight passing queer person of color, that's how it's for me.
I'd say I don't really get hatred for being queer out in public because I think most people just assume that I'm cis straight brown woman. So clear. Like that's great, but I would say I definitely do experience racism. Nothing to laugh about, but I think definitely like more recently there's been like such a shocking rise in like racism, especially against like brown people in the UK
Brown.
with all of the misinformation and you know lies that people are telling. Like even like I remember a few days ago I commented on an Instagram post and it was this Instagram video about all of these far white protesters outside of a migrant hotel, and this was in Newcastle City Centre. And I was responding to a comment which was like, what was it? It was like talking about the only things immigrants do is they come in and they rape all of our children, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, have you looked at like statistical figures or anything? And the only response that I got after like presenting information to someone was just like, oh, I'll get you a one-way ticket out of here, don't you worry. And I was like, okay, thank you so much, darling, take me on holiday. But anyway, I feel like even when I'm like out in public, even when I'm like on the metro, I definitely feel like I'm seeing more looks recently from a lot of people. And I think not just, you know, brown people, as in like, there's definitely been a rise in racism in the past few months.
Yeah.
Like,
especially with the whole thing about deportations. Like I saw coming off metro one time, by myself. I passed a bunch of white kids and they said, I'm gonna import you back to China. And they said import to like import.
I'm gonna import you back.
I didn't even, and the first thing I thought was import. Man, well I mean stupid people, if you're racist, I will assume you're pretty.
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so, and they just proved themselves right, because import.
Import.
Aloe vera. He's mixed race. He's very obviously mixed race. And he was with one of my friends, who is from Bangladesh, and she's obviously from Bangladesh. And they were walking down a little side street in town, and these men driving past them did, they did a hand signal. It was like fairies, and he didn't know what it meant. So when he came back and asked me, he was like, "Oh, these guys did this signal. Like, is it something racist?" And I was like, "No, they're calling me fairies. They're homophobic." But it was just the fact that he thought it was racism and it was homophobia. That's the difficulty with being a queer person of colour. You don't know what you're in danger for.
I can see that side eyes when you walk around. I mean, to be honest, I accidentally side eye people a lot. But,
Constantly.
I know, sometimes...
You just did.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to, but I don't like hate anyone, but, it's just a bit uncomfortable because, you know, if you present as queer people as a colour, it just feels like there's the pool of people who could potentially dislike you or not want to see you is even wider.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about white supremacy. Sorry.
Okay.
Straight thing to go on. Guys, one of the things that we definitely need to face head on in the queer community is there is a lot of white supremacy.
There is so much racism.
There is so much racism in the queer community. And like, I can just say, I'm just going to read out some statistics because I think it's interesting. So this is from Stonewall, which Stonewall is like the main LGBTQ plus charity that was first founded in America. So 51% of Black, Asian and minority ethnic LGBTQ people report to experience discrimination or poor treatment from their local LGBTQ community. Now, it's such a common thing to have spaces which are singled out for certain minorities but not for others. And it's just becoming normalised. Like, it's becoming so normalised to have preference over queer people that aren't people of colour and just leaving out a whole group, or at least like not familiarising yourself with queer people of colour, or like kind of, I don't know what it is, but it's like not seeing the fact that there are queer people of colour. Like, they do exist. I know it's crazy.
One right here.
Oh yeah, here's that one. So this is also from Stonewall. Among trans people, those of colour experience double the rates of transphobia from trans-specific healthcare versus white trans people.
I would say, obviously racism is very prevalent within just the queer community as an umbrella term, but especially with trans people. There are such racist attitudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's find another fun statistic.
Fun?
It's not fun, sorry.
It's such a shame too, because like expressing your gender identity, transgender, yeah, it's actually present in a lot of cultures, like Two-Spirit and Indian cultures and stuff. Yeah, you know.
Don't forget to smile.
Don't get smile. This is from the Office for National Statistics in England and Wales, and it found that from 2021 to 2023, queer adults in England and Wales had double the risk of suicide and higher self-harm rates compared to heterosexual peers. But most alarmingly, Black queer individuals found a 4.7 times higher rate of suicide. Now, of course, we can't all just pin this down to societal things. There is cultural things which impact this. But I think when you have a society which doesn't which, you know, gives kind of aversion and kind of shows support for queer people, it can be hard to be a queer person of colour and not know how far you're included in it. Because I know it sounds like common sense that if you're a queer person, but like, there is racism within the queer community. It sounds strange because queer people were so marginalised for so long, and they still are. Like, it's a long battle that, you know, you're only at the start of. But you can't start this battle against 4 minority groups without taking into account that there are people that are queer and are people of colour. Like, it's like what me and Leo were talking about in the last episode. There was this whole queer debate, and I saw loads of interviewers doing it against people in Palestine because of the, we all know what's happening in Gaza, but there was this whole debate within the queer community, which was so shocking for me to hear about queer people going, oh well, they don't like gay people, so like we should just like not support them. Guys,
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. There are gay people everywhere.
And there are queer. I can guarantee you, there are queer people in Palestine.
There are queer people in Palestine. You can't use these things to kind of get headway.
And also, it's not just that we should be helping and we should be giving our effort because there are queer people in Palestine. They're also just people.
Human rights, because at the end of the day, this is human rights we're talking about. We don't get to have a debate on whether or not people should be allowed to live, whether or not, no matter what beliefs they have. And unfortunately, some cultures are just like that, or whatever.
It's really easy to be queer and not a person of colour and not see why it's so important to kind of, show support and show awareness for queer people of colour, because you haven't exactly experienced the same hatred for being a person of colour in your lifetime, which is one thing. Here's another interesting statistic from Stonewall.
You're not betraying the queer community if you say that you want people to just live being people. Regardless of whether or not you think Palestinians, people in Gaza, they support being queer, that's still a human right to live. You can't just disagree and then think people should die for it.
Here's another one. I've got a few more statistics just before we end the episode. People of colour, and this is another Stonewall statistic, people of colour represent about 42% of LGBTQ plus people. 42%. This is larger than the proportion among non-queer individuals, 32%. I honestly was shocked at that statistic, even though I'm not even, what? And we still have less provision? Who is you?
Who is you?
You. Tell us in the comments. Who is you?
If you is, then...
Here's another one. This is an England statistic. Queer people of colour face more than double the rate of related anti-queer discrimination compared to white queer individuals. This is 32% versus 13%. It's an undeniable thing that you can't just brush over. It is real, and it's kind of shocking that it is. But guys,
I wonder what the intersection is between being queer and a person of colour and facing sort of homophobia and discrimination against queer people. Because what is it? Why is it that being a person of colour and also being queer makes you more exposed to hatred towards queer people?
Because it's the separation of this hatred towards people of colour and this hatred towards queer people. And when you're someone who's at risk of experiencing both, I think it's almost guaranteed that in your life you will experience both.
okay. Guys, I think that's going to end up our second episode of the Lavender Lenses.
Carlos, I can't talk anymore.
Our second episode. Please let us know what you guys thought about this episode down below. It's been a really interesting one. It's been a really fun one to talk about. It's kind of like, we are going to delve into niche topics, and I know this isn't exactly the most niche thing, but we are going to go into some really quite interesting niche things that kind of affect the queer community, and this was kind of our first kind of experience of that. Thank you so much to Eric, which is our guest for today's podcast.
And our beautiful editor.
And our beautiful editor, Eric here.
Everyone tell him how handsome he is.
Guys, comment down below.
Oh my gosh, he's so handsome.
What was I going to say? We are going to have more guests on the podcast, so keep out. See some new faces. Dream guests on my podcast.
Let's spice things up a little bit.
I'm the
One of my exes.
Oh my ex. I can't even finish that fucking episode.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode, guys. Leave a comment down below. Tell us what you thought. Thank you for sticking along with that. We love you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Dubai.
Dubai.
La Bublio. I'm so meta.
Okay.
The ghost is back.
And welcome back to the Lavender Lenses, the podcast all about queer culture.
What the hell? What?
This is how it's like recording with her.
Ready? Okay. No, you have to be serious. Okay. Serious but kind. By some incredible people. Please introduce yourself at the start. You. Hi, I'm Goodbye Leo.
I'm banana, yeah.
You're a banana.
Yeah, no, yeah, on the outside, around the inside. You guys never heard that term before. It's not. Okay,
What the hell? You're a banana!
I'll be editing this one out.
Oh.
Shut up. Okay. Let's continue.
Never
She's
heard
a
of
banana.
So yeah, that's me.
Sorry, we didn't expect her to say that. She's a banana. Sorry. I've never heard him say that before, so that was a fun thing to.
Anyways.
Is that like that pots and pans saying that you made up? The handle of the pot speaks to the kettle. What is it?
Okay, this is not relevant to the podcast at all, but I used the saying "pottle black," and Jojo still believes that I made up this saying.
It's not a made up saying.
It's not a made up saying. This is.
Comment down below if you've heard this saying before.
Pot calling the kettle black. This is a very normal. This is a common saying. I don't know how me saying it was the first time you've ever heard it.
Last night my father referred to a distance as down the block, and we all attacked him for it, and then he said it's the most common saying ever. He was obviously wrong, guys. We're in Britain.
Straight and six.
Anyways.
Should I start on here as well? Should I start on here?
Huh?
Should I start on the mics?
No, hang on, I'll just click it in.
No, not this.
I'm gonna stop waffling about the introduction. It did work.
Let's just get straight. Speak up. I know you hate
I love.
me. Looked at your picture and cried like a baby. Speak up.
Period. We're starting.
Me
Guys.
Going drunk off of vodka, cranberry. Call you up in the middle of the night, waiting like it.
Oh, I don't get this gay out language.
If you want anything,
Can we record?
then I will.
Okay, you have to really seamlessly talk about Dubai now. Oh my god!
Don't be an immigrant.
But you are.
We can't have someone talking and you guys having a conversation while I'm trying to talk. You're making yourself do so much work.
I know. I need to edit all
Lock
this.
in.
Oh, lock in.
Okay, right.
Everyone. No, I was about to say something like everything's a goal. Anyways.
Period. Dubai Leo, would you like to talk?
La boobly.
La boobly Leo.
La boobly.
I have to edit this part.
Thank
Why?
Because
I'm not allowed to be able to buy La Bublio.
you. La boobly.
obviously no one had time to be homeless. No, obviously they were, but as in like everyone, like people are struggling to survive. I mean, China's
Honestly,
not
I
very
just
good
don't have the time to be bi today.
I don't have the time to be gay.
You're trans? I just don't really have the time for that.
Wait, there's this like emperor like watching over me. I like low-key don't have the time to be a. I don't have time to be gay. Do you think that one being Paolo's gonna be coming through the door
You
soon.
should call Eli and ask him to.
I need you both to actually lock in so hard. Okay, ready? Okay, so being a queer, lock in.
Being a queer.
So, being queer and being a person of colour in a more accepting country. Wait, hang on, I'll need to set the mics in first.
It's just another day, and it's not over. Move your.
Okay, Okay, sit down, we need to hurry up. Okay, ready? No, I actually brother. No.
Also, when you were
That's
like,
not.
when you were like, I don't want to say this because I'll get cancelled. Ho, you're the editor. What do you mean? You can take on whatever you want.
Guys, music. Yay!
If this is the first take, this would be great. If we can get this.
Right, let me turn that on.
I think that'll work. Like,
I
as
think
long as
that
the
will
microphones work, then I can sync up the audio. It